discussion here. It's going to turn into a raging argument. Because though Dave and I are very good friends, he has some very, very problematic hippie ideas, which I will call the pathology of his pacifism and his shill-like obedience to a control grid which has given him material benefits, but today we will destroy those paradigms and release him back as a caveman into the wild. If you have a violent person in your house attacking your mother, you can, you know, beat off his violence with more violence. So you're just going to sit there and pray and like meditate and let him have his wicked ways with your mother. So I say, love your friends and family, but destroy your enemies with as much fury and wrath as you can. And just to plant some seeds in the children's minds here, just firebomb McDonald's. Just firebomb McDonald's. Don't listen to what your parents say. Grab a Molotov, set it on fire, throw it through that cow torturing device restaurant. Firebomb McDonald's, children. Thank you very much, Charlie. Ladies and gentlemen, and another person who probably needs no introduction. I think over the last few years, the wonderful organisation, the Kindness Offensive, have given away £3 million worth of free gifts, paid for by the corporate Sauron, evil Mordor entities that we're all fighting. But they paid for it and we got it, which is a nice way of reversing it. And they've also given free hugs around the world. And they're also doing brilliant work with police and television. We have to go for David Goodfellow.
My introduction. If you're a revolutionary, what are you revolting against? You're revolting against a system, a group of ideas, a set of perceptions which are negative, which are destructive, which you don't agree with, which you think should be flipped over and changed into something else. In my mind, it doesn't make any sense to go out and be violent or to bring any form of aggression to a system which effectively you object to because it is aggression. If you want to lower the level of aggression in the world, how can you bring more aggression to that, to lower it? If you want to lower the aggression in the world, lower the fear in the world, you've got to bring more love to it. It's well simple. The reason I stand up for kind of love, and it sounds really naff, I know, but it's because I think it's a very powerful force. I think it's more powerful than an atom bomb. I think if you invest fully in that force, you will get solutions to problems that are alternative to blowing things up. You don't meet people with evilness and hatred and destruction. You meet people with love and understanding and care. You set an example. You be the change. That's what you do. Firebomb McDonalds.
Been itching to retort, Charlie?
Yes, I mean, I've never heard such a load of hippie, desensitized, debollocks. It's almost like you've had your balls chopped off with all these sound bites about peace and love and giving a rapist a hug. We have had all these wonderful, wishful thinking ideas, you know, since the 50s, 60s, the hippie movement and so forth. But all I see is the world getting so much worse, regardless of what we may choose to think and feel and project, the peace, the unity and the love. Some people are psychopaths. They don't care. They don't care how kind of nice and spiritual you are. They will just want to come and take over your indigenous land and burn you all to the ground.
You're either a man with a stick, in which case you're now in an arms race, or you're a revolutionary with a good idea who can change the world. There's only two camps. There is no appropriate situation to use that stick. If you've got the stick, welcome to the arms race. They're well ahead, mate. Well ahead. Never gonna catch them. They can actually blow up this piece of rock we sit on. So you want to join the arms race with your piece of stick and you want to blow up one building? You're playing with the big boys now, mate. They know business with that. There's no way. How do you beat Mike Tyson? You don't step in a ring, mate. You challenge him to a game of chess. You might win that. You know what I mean? You've got no chance. You're a fight, you no chance.
What Dave is, unfortunately, is a propagandist for a murderous industrial system of consumption and death, and turning that which is natural into that which is concrete and ridiculous. So, if you really want quick results, you can spend a few years writing to McDonald's, you can hand out leaflets to fat people and they'll still ignore you, go to McDonald's. But if you want to get rid of McDonald's on your high street, you know, if you want to get it done in 1 minute, just blow it up. And then that's the problem gone, you know. And as I said earlier, there's a reason why governments and air forces use violence, is because it gets results. If the power of love was more powerful than the power of bombing the shit out of things, governments would use love to, you know, do things, but no. So, you know.
False premise, but you're too funny for me to say anything more.
There's this idea that if you are a pacifist, like, I will never hit any of you, but I also won't take any of your crap either. And you know, it's about time the pacifist stood up. No, but straight up! It's about time the pacifist stood up and said, listen, I'm not a doormat either. I'm not here to hurt you, but I don't have to take your rubbish. I don't have to listen to your rubbish. I love you, Charlie, man. But you can't tell people to go and destroy stuff. That's not right. You should tell people to go and love everybody, because not just because that's a cute hippie thing to do, because therein lies the true power of the universe. You want to be someone who actually affects change. You want to do something to make the world a better place. You want to go to sleep at night and say, yes, I did something awesome. That's the only way, mate. That's the only way. You go any other path, any other way of destruction, intervening with your fists, with your missiles, with your bombs, with your fire. You don't get that power, mate, and you will be blown away by the love. Blown away.
Even Charlie's that applauding that one.
Freedom isn't free. Freedom is something you have to fight for. And I'd like to see where David's peace and love ideals and hugging would work at the trains to Auschwitz, with 6 million obedient Jewish people just going towards their showers.
Earlier about the kind of how you represent rage and anger, you represent love and pacifism. Personally, I find pacifism can lead to apathy, and if you don't fight violence with more violence or at least aggression, you're in danger of becoming apathetic and not giving a fuck about anything that's going on.
And pacifists have got a bad rep, because I'm not sitting on the bench for that. I'm not letting that happen and saying I'm not going to hit anybody so I can let that person get raped. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this, I don't want to hurt anybody. That's the bottom line. So how do we get in there? And I don't have an answer for that, but I'm saying let's brainstorm that, let's work that out. And if that means we've got to form a human shield, if that means we've got to sit down between and stop people from, then we do that.
You balked at me describing you as the Martin Luther King on this, but that's exactly what the civil rights campaigners did. If someone was being beaten, they took the beating.
Was it Oscar your name? Yeah, about the hate thing. Yeah.
Well, we will do.
I think hate and love can sometimes be the exact same thing. I mean, if I hate oppression, am I loving freedom? If I hate a dictator, am I loving, you know, no hierarchy?
Here's what I reckon. I'm only ever going to live in one place, and that's between my ears. I've got my own mind. So for me, personally speaking, there is a difference, man, because if my head's full of hate, I've got to deal with that. It's in my mind. I'm hating something. Whereas if I love it, my mind is full of love. So there is a difference between those two things. It's a very personal, very practical difference. And you have to live it moment by moment. What would you rather live? A life full of hate in your mind, or a life full of love? That's your question, man.
And I would say that hate is not the opposite of love anyway. Love doesn't have an opposite, that's why it's love.
Yeah, I didn't really want to say much. I just wanted to say, are you going to change human nature? Like, you know, we talk about the system, we talk about McDonald's, who made the system, human.
Be careful when you talk about human nature. Just because humans have been behaving the same way for 5,000 years under a dominator system, it doesn't mean it's human nature. You have to look at other systems and see how human beings react to those.
And also, I think human nature or attitude's a bit like bodybuilding, yeah? Like, you get big muscles by lifting up small weights over and over again and building up to it. And I think an attitude is the same thing, or a nature is the same thing. If you want to have a better nature, then you don't just wake up one morning like you're a tonk bodybuilder. You've got to start with small things, like Rob was saying, smiling and letting people in queues and stuff. And if you lift those small weights, you end up with a bigger and bigger and bigger muscle for that. Your nature for being kind and loving grows. And a lot of people who come to this kind of thing, they're like, I can't do that, I'm not Gandhi, I'm not a saint, fuck it, I'm not going to do nothing. But you've got to start with what you can handle. There's the same way that if you went to the gym, you could start with what you handle. So my answer to you is, can you change human nature? If you want to, the same way you can change your body.
Dave, I think if we can maybe find some unity between your pacifism and my desire for hyper-violence against the machine, is that I think a lady in the crowd said it's about context. How about if peace and love, when things aren't too bad, but hyper-violence and revolution when they become too police big.
Meditate, but keep a shotgun under the counter.
Anybody else from the audience? A long way back. Can we pass this back? Is that long enough, do you think?
I see a role for Charlie and a role for Dave. I don't think they're... I think both of you can coexist. I think what you're doing really well is you're planting beautiful seeds. Yeah, you're planting seeds that when the trees that come down that are blocking out the light, that they will grow into beautiful things. But I think we need both. I think we need people who are willing to chop down the trees, to let the light in for the seeds. We need people, as Paradox pointed out in my talk earlier, to protect those seeds, so that when actually the trees do come down, there are seeds starting to go up. So I think there's a role for both of you guys. I think you're obviously good friends, you're very supportive of each other, and I think just actually, it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think we need both of these guys doing what they're passionate about, and if both of these guys put their lives to what they're doing, then we'll come out with a better world. I don't think it has to be so opposed. But I love you what you do, I love you what you do.